Now on CoastTV News.
Crime report. Delaware State Police Troop 4 breaks down the most common offenses in our area, what improved and what didn't. Barge fire in the bay, flames and smoke off the coast of Delaware this morning, what authorities say the barge was carrying.
After record-setting heat, could we be in for another round of snow? I'll fill you in.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Trump administration officials give updates on day 11 of the U.S.-Israeli war in Iran. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. That's our top story tonight, and as of now, the war has no end in sight. The death toll has risen to more than 1,300 civilians killed in Iran and more than 570 people in Lebanon since the start of the war. And as Sherelle Hubbard reports, the Pentagon says approximately 140 U.S. service members have sustained injuries.
For example, today will be yet again our most intense day of strikes inside Iran.
At a Pentagon briefing on the war with Iran Tuesday, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the U.S. will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated. The White House doubling down on that messaging, saying the war's timeline is according to President Trump's clock.
When the commander-in-chief determines the military objectives have been met and that Iran is in a position of complete and unconditional surrender.
Trump took to Truth Social Monday night and threatened to escalate further, saying Iran would be hit 20 times harder if it blocked the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Two sources familiar with U.S. intelligence telling CNN Iran has begun laying mines in the strait in recent days. The war spiking oil and gas prices
Is temporary, and this operation will result in lower gas prices in the long term.
Key Senate Democrats emerged from a classified briefing on the war. They argued that Americans cannot afford to be involved in another war.
There's no time to pay attention to how families are paying more, but there's $1 billion a day to go to the Middle East and drop bombs on Iran.
We think this war is illegal. American troops are being injured, more than 100 injured, 7 died.
And the White House says the president isn't ruling out the possibility of putting boots on the ground. I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Now back here at home, Delaware State Police Troop 4 sharing a look at crime trends in the area earlier this evening during their annual review. Troopers said several crime reduction goals were met last year. That's including burglary, shoplifting, motor vehicle theft, and other theft cases. But officials say goals were not met for shooting incidents and non-family aggravated assaults. Troopers also reported 35 firearm-related arrests last year. That's about the same as the year before. Master Corporal Lewis Briggs says these meetings are important for transparency.
There's a lot of work that goes into it 24 hours a day, not just by looking at statistics or numbers, but by our troopers out on the road doing the work, doing the investigations, and keeping in contact with our communities through our engagement programs.
And by the way, DSP Troop 4, that covers roughly 350 square miles in central and southern Sussex County, including Georgetown, Millsboro, and Seaford. Take a look at this. A barge caught fire this morning in the Delaware Bay in the area of Woodland Beach. The Coast Guard says they were alerted to this around 7:30 a.m. Local fire companies and other agencies, including DENREC, responded. The Leipsic Volunteer Fire Company said fire boats were working to control that fire.
Well, I didn't see the barge, but I saw the smoke coming up and all of the haze along the river. I saw a lot of emergency vehicles and people huddled up, and it looked pretty serious.
Yeah, DEMA said the barge was carrying salvage metal and was being moved to shallow water to allow responders to put out the fire. No injuries had been reported. Record-breaking temperatures made it almost feel like summer today. After the recent blizzard, a lot of people we spoke with were welcoming the unusually warm weather. Lots of people out at the park, pets also enjoying the early taste of spring. One park goer in Dover we spoke with says it's the perfect time to start getting active.
So today I decided, you know what, health is wealth. And so a part of me doing that health is wealth is getting out and moving my body. And that's what I'm here. I'm here at the park here in Dover to move my body, get some steps in, counting down to 10,000 steps a day.
Love the attitude. Got to get those 10,000 steps a day. We're looking live into Dover now. Our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams is going to join us with a check on the forecast. But Paul, you did say the word snow today.
All the stuff about record highs and all that kind of stuff, the only word everybody's caught on to is possibility of snow. And yeah, it is actually in the forecast, I'm sorry to say. But we're at 62 degrees right now in Laurel, and we're going to drop to 59 under mostly clear skies by the early morning hours, about 3 o'clock. Now, we've set a record high. It was earlier it was 82, but it's been readjusted to 83 for the high in Georgetown and in Salisbury, 81 for the high in Cambridge. And yeah, that's a record high that was set back in 2006. And so we had Marine State, we have gusty winds along a good portion of the Chesapeake Bay area. But for the rest of the night, we're going to stay really warm, staying in the 50s going into the early morning hours. We will have another record challenging day, really high temperature for Wednesday. And then Thursday is when the temperatures tank so deep, and it's going to be a backwards day, warm in the morning and cold in the afternoon, to the point where we may see that rain change over to you know what? Christina.
Thank you, Paul. Well, Millsboro continues to see rapid growth. A proposed housing development could add more than 200 new homes to the area. This is along Route 20. And as Coast TV reporter Nicole Richter shows us, the project is also raising questions from some people about traffic and the impact on a nearby historic site.
Millsboro is one of the fastest growing communities in Sussex County. Last week, the Millsboro Town Council voted to give preliminary approval to the White Farm subdivision.
It's going to cause problems for all of us.
As the town continues to grow, the proposed development wants to add 214 single-family homes right behind me on more than 80 acres of land along Route 20 here in Millsboro.
I'm not worried about them at all. Because like you were saying, they're building everywhere, so it really doesn't matter.
Plans for the development also show 648 parking spaces, including garages, driveways, and guest parking throughout the neighborhood. But not everyone is comfortable with the changes.
I wanted to stay here for the rest of my life, but I don't know if what they're doing to the area is going to make it impossible for me. That hurts.
The developer is also looking to close off Godwin School Road and turn it into an entrance for the development. Some neighbors say they're worried about what that can mean for traffic.
I was sick of traffic, and I came to an area where I didn't have any traffic, and I loved it. And I love everything about this area now. And to lose one of the reasons why I moved here is it hurts. It's painful.
Others are raising questions about what could become a four-way stop behind the historic Godwin School property.
It'll have an impact on cutting out our nature trail back there, which is a part of the historical integrity of this school.
Another development, another story about growth, and lots of opinions about what it will mean for the people that live in southern Delaware. Now again, the project has received preliminary approval, but it still needs to take those additional steps in the town's development process before any construction can even begin. In Millsboro, I'm Nicole Richter, Coast TV News.
Also, another housing development in Sussex County along Cave Neck Road is in the works. The Sussex County Planning and Zoning Commission deferred a vote on the River's Edge project. It would put nearly 200 homes on about 125 acres there. Now to Ocean City. The OC Inlet could be getting a new look. The Ocean City Council reviewed plans from the Life Saving Museum to add a wraparound boardwalk there this week. Originally, the museum wanted to build an elevator, but found that was going to be way too expensive. We are told this new plan would give more outdoor space, extra seating, and better accessibility.
If it's expanded, then more people would have the opportunity to enjoy it because there's only a few benches that are available.
If everything gets the green light with this, you could see the boardwalk wraparound as early as summer 2027. And we are just getting started this evening. Coming up ahead, the future of rockfish regulations in the Chesapeake Bay. Why Maryland lawmakers, watermen, and conservationists are divided. Plus, land use reforms in Sussex County, how changes could impact development here along the coast. And right after the break, Paul Williams is in our Coast TV First Alert Weather Center with a look at your full forecast.
at my skin and it gets up. Let's take a look right now what's happening with it. With Rehoboth Beach, we're holding at 58 degrees actually, dew point temperature of 57. And we're expecting another unusually warm day, followed by the potential of a snow shower or two. Temperatures are falling into the lower 50s actually for later on tonight under mostly clear skies. And as you take a look at what's happening, we're looking very clear for right now. And then throughout the Chesapeake Bay area, we actually now have a small craft advisory that's been initiated because it's going to become a little breezy there. So let's talk record highs. Hey, we got up to 83 degrees, which is 30 above the norm for this time of year and 3 degrees higher than the record that was set in 2006. You know, even the low was a little bit on the high side. 35 is where we're supposed to be. We only got down to about 44. And remember, 52 is the normal high. But we weren't just 83 there. We were 83 also in Salisbury, 81 in Cambridge, but we're a bit cooler for us actually in Ocean City at 71, although we are 6 degrees warmer there than we were just 24 hours ago. So we're still trending warmer. One thing to kick off Wednesday is going to be the dense fog that'll kick in places like Dewey Beach, Long Neck, Fenwick Island, Selbyville. We're going to drop to about a half a mile of visibility or less than that, thanks to a good influx of moisture that's going to be over the area in general. But keep in mind, we're looking at another threat for possibly reaching some record highs or close to it. We're going to be a bit foggy in Chincoteague with winds out of the south at 13 miles per hour. Cooler in Ocean City because the cloud cover is going to limit access to sunshine there. However, you go all the way up towards Lewis, it's going to be like 71 degrees at the very least. And then as you go farther inland, it's going to be warmer. And let me show you. For example, 77 in Rehoboth, but 79 in Georgetown and in Millsboro, just as an example for Wednesday. Then we're only going to get up to like 68 in Cambridge, 75 in Vienna and Federalsburg, as well as Denton. And we're going to warm up to 77 in Snow Hill, 78 in Berlin. So you get away from the water, you're going to be a little bit warmer. Now let's talk about how this is going to change so dramatically within the next, let's say, 36 to 48 hours. So Wednesday morning, 6 o'clock, we start off in the 50s, 54. That's about a degree. That's actually above the normal high for this time of the year. Then we escalate into the upper 70s to near 80 degrees, if not clocking 80s in several locations. Don't be surprised by that, especially with that flow of air coming out of the south. Then as we go into Thursday, here's where changes happen. Cloudy for Thursday morning. And then we watch out for widespread scattered showers to begin to pepper the scene going into lunchtime. And the latest model run is indicating, hey, here comes a little snow by 2:30. And then it's moving out of the way by 7 o'clock. So we're not looking for an extended period of time of snow, but we're looking at that potential. And then we go back to 37. But we're going to warm back up even the next day back into the 50s. But we're going to tank for Thursday. For Chincoteague, we're going to go from cloudy and rainy to the rain and the wind. Now we're looking for that mix in Fenwick Island as well as Ocean City on Thursday. We start off warm in the morning, colder in the afternoon, and we continue to drop going into the evening hours. A bit of a reverse day is what we would typically kind of call that. So we're going to have our high in the morning as soon as the sun, soon as we hit midnight, and then we're looking for that rain likely for us on Thursday, Lewis as well as Rehoboth Beach. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. And we're expecting for it to get a little bit cooler on Friday, but we're going to come out for a thaw on Friday. So whatever we do get on Thursday night should be out of here as quick as Friday afternoon.
All right, well, that's good news. Thank you, Paul. 4 new ordinances aimed at managing growth and improving planning were introduced to Sussex County Council today. County Administrator Todd Lawson says they are the first of many based on months of work by a 10-person land use reform group. None of the ordinances include major overhauls to Sussex development law, but as our Madeline Overturf explains, the county does believe this is the first step of many to help add affordable housing, reduce sprawl, and more.
One ordinance overhauls the Sussex County rental program because in 6 years, only one developer has taken part here in Lewis. The county wants to make the program more attractive to builders and in turn provide more affordable housing. The ordinance would raise the income limit for qualifying renters from 50% to 60% of the area median income. That's $46,800 a year for a 2-person household. It would also lower the number of units developers must set aside for the program from 25% of a development down to 15%. Another proposal clarifies open space requirements in new developments. Things like ponds and some stormwater areas, those are open space. But grass strips along streets, clubhouses, and playgrounds, which previously counted, don't. The measure also increases how much open space is required. Developments in growth areas, these areas shaded in yellow, red, brown, and purple, they would need to set aside 30% of their land as open space, while rural areas, seen here in white and green, would require 50%. Right now, the requirement is 25% countywide. The ordinance also requires open space to be placed next to farmland, forest, or wetlands if possible, creating more land separation between developments. A third ordinance talks about subdivision designs. The changes are meant to improve clarity and consistency in the county code and make sure subdivision applications are handled fairly. The new rules would also require developers identify land that should be preserved early in the design process. The fourth ordinance is on subdivisions themselves. Cluster developments typically have smaller, more tightly packed lots, about 0.17 acres each. Under the proposal, cluster subdivisions using central sewer on those smaller lots will no longer be allowed in rural areas. They would still be allowed in growth areas, which are generally located near towns, major roads, and much of eastern Sussex County. In rural areas, developers would still be able to build standard subdivisions with at least 3/4-acre lots or septic-based subdivisions with 20,000 square foot lots.
And that was Madeline Overturf reporting. Now, the public hearing process does take months. If approved, these ordinances would not apply to development applications that are already partway through the approval process. County staff is also considering a temporary moratorium on some cluster subdivisions in rural areas while these new rules are being reviewed. That's to avoid an onslaught of new applications right now. This does bring us to our Coast TV poll. We're asking what you think should be the top priority in new developments. Looking at the results, you can see we do have an error, but you can still see the results. 71% most people say better infrastructure. A lot of people saying more open space or protecting the forests. 5% also worried about affordable housing. And if you haven't voted yet, you still can. All you have to do is go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Let us know what you think. Coming up next, a bomb squad at the DMV in Dover. What authorities uncovered there today? And coming up, long airport lines across the country. The partial government shutdown slows down TSA checkpoints. What that means for the busy spring break travel season.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
A hearing today in Annapolis could shape the future of striped bass regulations on the Chesapeake Bay. A proposed bill would set rockfish season in state law from May through December in Maryland and limit Maryland's Department of Natural Resources' ability to shorten the season or add a catch and release period. The measure would also require an economic impact study be done before major changes to rockfish regulations are made. Now, this bill has proven to be divisive. DNR says new limits are needed to protect the species, but some people are worried that the changes could hurt the bay's fishing economy. Supporters in the seafood industry say it would add oversight and require economic studies before new regulations take effect. They argue the DNR currently has too much power to change fishing rules without fully considering the impact on watermen. But conservation groups say limiting the state's authority could put the striped bass fishery at risk.
You have said that this adversely affects our industry, but there's been no economic study done. All we get is from DNR. Well, some of the guys are going to get hurt. Not some, everybody's hurt.
It's important to find some balance and enact the measures which are approved coastwide, because otherwise we have too much risk and there's too many people that rely on striped bass.
Supporters and opponents say the stakes are high for both the industry and the Chesapeake Bay. If you're driving in Seaford anytime soon, listen up. This here, what you're looking at is the speed camera that's up on Route 1 near Lewis. It has been giving out fines for a few months now. Now, Seaford police are considering getting some of those cameras. They would be placed on problem streets around the city. Seaford police say fines would range from $31 to nearly $100 for anyone going 11 miles or more over the speed limit. Now, some neighbors tell us they think speeding does need to be curbed in Seaford, but others not so much.
If it's going to stop them from speeding or it can help them catch people speeding, I think it would definitely help.
I don't think that's necessary. I think the cops are doing a good job.
Now, if approved, Seaford police say it could take around a year to get those cameras up and running. Ahead of St. Patrick's Day, the Delaware State Police and the Office of Highway Safety are trying to prevent drunk driving. OHS offering another one of their Sober Rides programs. Round 1 is going to be from noon on March 14th until 3 a.m. on March 15th. Then another round during the same times from March 17th until March 18th. Those vouchers will be released on those days. Also, OHS says that DUI checkpoints will be in place in Sussex County on March 13th. Coming up tonight in sports, the Smyrna Eagles are looking to finish off a great season with a state title. Find out if they could pull off an upset against the Sanford school after the break. On your screen now is the police response to a reported suspicious package at the Delaware Division of Motor Vehicles in Dover earlier today. The building was evacuated. Hours later, State Police's Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit did declare the package, which was later identified as a backpack left behind after hours. They declared it as safe. Delaware Capitol Police believe it was left behind unintentionally. Well, lines at security checkpoints stretched for hours at airports across the country to start the week. That's as the partial government shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security continues. With the start of spring break right around the corner, Ivan Rodriguez has more on what travelers can expect.
Funding for the Department of Homeland Security lapsed in mid-February amid the standoff between Republicans and Democrats over federal immigration reform.
With everything going on in the last couple of weeks, I think people could be forgiven for forgetting that we are in a partial government shutdown and that many of the impacted employees happen to work at the TSA.
Eric Rosen with The Points Guy says one of the reasons why we're seeing long lines at some major airports across the country is because TSA workers are set to miss their first paycheck this week.
Which means some of them probably have to call out. Some of them probably have to take other jobs so they can't meet their regular shifts, which has been resulting in bottlenecks at some major airports.
Over the last few days, some of the airports witnessing the longest TSA security lines include Houston's William P. Hobby Airport, Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport, and Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport.
I would say as the shutdown drags on, we're only likely to see more and more bottlenecks, not just at the airports that have been affected so far, but at further airports as well.
Rosen says one way future travelers can prepare is by staying on top of any and all updates from your airline and airport.
Stay on top of the social media handles and the websites of any airports you're flying through to see if they monitor the security wait times and how up to date they are, and also to give yourself plenty of extra time. I'm thinking a good 30 to 60 minutes more than you normally would.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Moving to sports, Smyrna girls basketball looking to punch their ticket to the state title game this evening. The Delmarva Sports Network's Darren Wallace reports from the sidelines.
What's going on, everybody? Darren Wallace here at the Bob Carpenter Arena at the University of Delaware for the girls DIAA state semifinal between Smyrna and the Sanford School, a rematch from earlier this year. And Sanford trying to get the job done without Naomi Allen, the team's best player, while senior Amaya Ellerby is looking to go out in her high school career on a high note. In the first quarter, the Eagles started off hot. Sophomore Gabby Rail knocked down a pair of triples to put Smyrna ahead early. They opened this game on a 7-0 scoring run. But Sanford would come back, and later in the half, down 20-18, senior Amaya Ellerby gets deep into her bag and gets to that trusty floater for two. We'd go into the half tied at 20. In the second half, more of the same from Ellerby. This time driving left and finishing with the left. The senior finished with 18 points. Down the stretch, though, it turned into the Asia Adams show. The junior just could not be stopped getting to the rim. But near the end of the third quarter, the Eagles went on a run, capped off by Peyton Craig to make it a 39-34 ball game. But it was all Adams and Sanford in the fourth, getting to the rim at will and finishing, making it look easy. Sanford would hold Smyrna to just 4 points in the final frame as they'd go on to win 60-39, punching their ticket to Saturday's championship. So Asia Adams steps up for the Sanford School and leads the team in scoring, finishing with 23 points. They'll advance to the state final against the winner of Ursuline and St. Elizabeth's. Reporting from the University of Delaware, I'm Darren Wallace for DSN.
Now here's a live look outside into Ocean City. We've got one more check on your forecast right after this. Listen to this. NASA says it's very highly unlikely anyone will get hurt when a 1,300-pound spacecraft crashes into Earth soon. It predicts the spacecraft will re-enter Earth's atmosphere Tuesday night. The agency says the time could vary by 24 hours, though, and it's still not sure where the debris will fall. It says most of the satellite should burn up in the atmosphere, but what does survive has about a 1 in 4,200 chance of harming someone.
All right, in Ocean City, we're holding at 46 degrees right now. You can see the waves coming up on the shore there, and we're going to stay in the 50s to upper 40s for the rest of the night. Small craft advisory has been activated throughout the entire Chesapeake Bay area because it's still breezy there. Our umbrella giveaway winner is Bill Morrow of Laurel. Your winner, courtesy of Paul Davis, property restoration experts. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. Sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstedt, Mandalis, and Federico. The number to call is 443-880-9100. Here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Another unusually warm one for Wednesday, then rain on Thursday, warm in the morning, and then cooler in the afternoon.
Got it. Thank you again, Paul, and thanks to you at home for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. You can always find more news and weather. Just download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.